Hey everybody, welcome to SoundBalming. I created this show for people who want to experience a radical, life-changing journey through the sounds of my diverse guests. I hope that each sound you hear on this show will strengthen your faith, encourage your dreams, and challenge you to awaken the greatness within you.
Drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb.
This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Lamar Darnell Shields.
Hey SoundBalmers, thank you for tuning in. I've had an amazing week. As you all know, last week I was in New Mexico, Las Vegas, New Mexico. I think some of you all that were following me thought that I was in Las Vegas where you go and gamble. This is a very little town. It's very different. It's about 2.5 hours from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and maybe about 30 to 45 minutes from Santa Fe, which is the capital, just in case you all didn't pass that capital and state test when you were in elementary school. But I had an amazing time. I worked with about 250 teachers. They wanted me to come out there to talk to them about wellness because, again, many teachers and educators and many service providers, change agents are getting burned out. And so I went out there, had an amazing time, got a chance to meet the superintendent. She hung out with me for a while and was just grateful I was so grateful that she allowed me to hang out there. So shout out to my friend April, shout out to my friend Michelle, the individuals that brought me to that school district. So I'm so grateful. This is my second time hanging out in Las Vegas. And what was cool this time, I got a chance to take my mom and she hung out with her aunt. And they went to the casino, not throw my mom under the bus, but that's the thing that they love to do. I love culture and she does too, but I just don't get down with the casino stuff. And then this week, I just found that I'm supposed to be at the women, it's called the WOW Conference here in Baltimore, but I just found out today, and I'm very disappointed for those that were coming in town. They canceled the conference, and I was so upset because I was going to get a chance to meet Soledad O'Brien. But again, I am very disappointed in that we don't even have any outbreaks here in the state of Maryland as to date, but they decided to do that. And then next week, I will be in Savannah, Georgia. Shout out to all of my friends who are going to be at the National Youth at Risk Conference. And I'm also going to get a chance to speak at one of the high schools while I'm there. Shout out to my man, Joe Johnson, who's going to be joining me on the stage. So check me out in Savannah, the National Youth at Risk Conference. But today is a very special day. I have a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, joining me in the SoundBalming studio. Of course, you all know, I know people all over the country, people that are doing some amazing things. But you all know I'm in and outside of the airports quite a bit. And what's interesting, I did not know inside the airport, people have been living, sleeping. And a lot of times I've given people food, but I didn't think about that. I'm in the airport so much that I'm just thinking, okay, maybe these people are just hanging out there waiting for their next flight. I've had to stay in the airport, didn't want to pay for a hotel being cheap. And so my next guest is going to talk about the work that she's doing in BWI Airport. I guarantee stick around. You're going to be blown away. So I want to introduce her. Teacher, administrator, advocate, prayer warrior, servant leader are just a few titles used to describe my next guest. But the one title I think she answers to the most is treasure hunter, because when it comes to helping students see their best selves, Dr. Shawn Ashworth is able to dig deep beyond the surface of these young people and searches for their untapped skills and talents. And she is intentional and purposeful in her hope and belief in young people, regardless of race, color, creed, gender, or religious affiliation. Her work in schools with teachers is important. She's been in the trenches for a very long time, providing support and shifting the mindsets of others so that all students have an opportunity to excel beyond their wildest dreams. But it doesn't stop there. For the past decade, Dr. Shawn Ashworth has been a faithful volunteer with ACAN Food Pantry in Severna Park. With ACAN, she has been active in providing support to community by giving food baskets during the holidays and conducting a back-to-school book bag event in the Freetown Boys and Girls Club area. With her passion for advocacy in the community, Dr. Ashworth created her own nonprofit, Food for Thought Community Outreach Services. Food for Thought's mission is to provide those in need, especially veterans, the homeless, and families struggling to make ends meet with the nutritional meals, housing referrals, counseling, job skills development. Through her nonprofit work with the support for ACAN, Shawn, along with volunteers, provides meals for those who call BWI their home. And I want you guys to check this out. Last week, I got a chance to hang out with her in the airport at 11 p.m. midnight, and I got a chance to watch Dr. Shawn Ashworth do her thing. I want you to take a listen to what took place that day.
In BWI Airport, we on the 5th floor getting ready to go to the Skywalk. We're going to Southwest. There's a nice little bench that we are going to organize our sandwiches, put our sandwiches in the bag. I give everybody their marching orders. I tell them who's doing what, and then everybody takes a bag and we get to serve.
So tell them what time it is in the airport right now.
It is 11 p.m., and this will take us approximately an hour. So we always joke about, is this going to be a $4 night or an $8 night? $4 night is where we can get in and get going. $8 night, people want us to pray for them. They want to talk about what happened during their week, or they trying on clothes. Now, I don't have a lot of clothes tonight, but I do got underwear. A lot of my men last week asked for underwear. So I got some men underwear, some women underwear, and razors. They all wanted razors, and because it's cold, I got hand warmers. So I'm going to be handing a lot of those out this evening as well. Good evening. You need a bag? You know what? Can you come down? Because they don't have sandwiches in them yet. When we add the sandwiches, just come down the escalator and grab one, okay? Hey, honey, how you?
So let them know who you're talking to and who you just said who probably needs a bag, who we're talking to.
So we get in the airport, and we probably serve about 100 to 115 people every Thursday. At least 20 of them are the airport night crew workers who are always waiting for us to get the extra snack bag. They're probably going to ask where the hot food is, because they also know that every other week we do hot food or hot soup, and I don't have any hot food tonight, so it'll be interesting how many people ask. But we feed just as many nighttime workers than we do the homeless folks.
How many people do you typically feed?
About 100 to 115 people every Thursday.
Knock this out in 1
family, in 1 hour. 1 hour and sometimes 5 minutes, again, depending on who needs prayer, who needs to try on stuff, or who wants to tell me about their week story.
So why 1 hour?
Because that's all it takes. We in and out. You will see that some people are asleep. We just drop and go. Some people are wide awake, and they got a whole lot to say. Hey, honey. Hey, you. Look, you don't have to come back down, because sandwiches are downstairs. All I got is a snack bag if you want a sandwich. Get on the elevator. We're going to our station where we add the sandwich bags. We organize there. And then we'll be ready to go. Like you said, when we get down there, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 airport workers skirting around us, waiting for their bag. You'll see, they're going to come running behind us, waiting for their bag. We're going to organize it. We're putting 2 sandwiches in each bag. It doesn't matter. We got rye bread, white bread, don't matter. All the sandwiches are either bologna, turkey, ham, cheese, whatever we have, that's what they get. They finish one box. You see the airport people? You see the workers waiting? They waiting.
So who prepared the sandwiches? Who prepared the
do everything at my house. Wednesday night, I don't go to Bible study anymore. My ministry, the ministry is I did 104 snack bags. And then 104 snack bags. And then today, I like my sandwiches to be fresh. Or at least I should say I like my pizza to have fresh sandwiches. So Erica and Crystal were my 2 volunteers. Who came over today, and they did the sandwiches for me. And now we're just adding them into the bag, and then we'll be ready to go. We'll start here, and then we're going to walk the length of this airport. We're going to go all the way down the international wing. We're going to do the back walls, the back halls. And once we get to the international wing, where the majority of them are, you'll see, then we will go downstairs, and there's another big group, because that's where the light rail is. And we come this late because it's the last light rail at 11 o'clock. And so we'll get a lot of them that will sit right there, and then we'll walk back up. So once we get downstairs, we probably feed another 5 or 6 that are further down in the baggage claim. So I always try to save 2 bags because there's 2 women that sleep on the heater. So I want to make sure I get them. And then we're done.
All right. And we are back. So Dr. Shawn Ashworth, thank you for joining me today. I know today is Thursday and you are probably getting yourself together to get out there on the streets in the airport today. So thank you for hanging out with me in the Balm studio. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Lamar. Thank you for inviting me.
So I got a chance to hang out with you in the airport, and I want you to talk about that. But before we get into that, Dr. Ashworth and I go way, way, way back. I received a call a couple of years ago to come to her school district to do some work around African American and Latino boys. And I don't even to this day, I don't know how they found out about my work, but I loved working with her. I mean, she was a servant leader at the time that I got a chance to hang out with her. She would always call, check in on us, was always popping into school, seeing how we were doing and seeing how she could support the work that we were doing. We both are from big cities. She represents the great city of New York. I come from the great city of Chicago, but we came to do this work. We came to Maryland to do this work. And so it's an honor to have her here as an educator, but I brought her in here not just to talk about the work that she's doing around education. As I said in the introduction, I'm in a lot of airports. And for some reason, I called Shawn and we were having a conversation and she said, oh yeah, I'm on my way to the airport. I'm going to be feeding some homeless people. And I'm like, in the airport? I'm like, some folks are living in the airport. So Dr. Ashworth, let's talk about the work that you're doing in BW. No, well, you're laughing because I was like, and what time are you going out there? You said at 11 o'clock. I'm like, wait, at 11 a.m.? You're like, no. I'm like, Shawn, you know you got to be at work tomorrow. I said, Lamar, I got this thing down pat. I've been doing it for 2 years. So let's talk about how did you get involved with doing this work around homelessness?
Yeah, and actually it started from a friend who works in the airport who shared that she was feeding people when she could, when she got off. So I had, like you, I had to go check it out. And I walked in the airport. We fed about 25 people that evening, and my heart was stuck there. And I decided this was what I was going to do. I was going to be consistent about it. And it actually started with me and another person. We were the only 2 people Thursday night feeding, and then it just grew. And now I have about 8 to 10, sometimes 15 volunteers every single Thursday that come out and support me.
And believe me, she got me out there. Now, I'm not a fan of airport. Well, really, I'm not a fan of flying. But when I spoke with her, I said, listen, Shawn, I'm coming out there the next day. And I had a couple of people who are in the media give her a call to talk about the work that she's doing. So I just thank you for doing that. But why does homelessness generate so much debate and confusion when it comes to this particular subject, you think?
I believe that every single one of us are one paycheck away from being homeless, right?
You can repeat that. I want you to say that one more time. For all these people who consider themselves the middle class, say that one more time.
Every one of us is one paycheck away from being homeless in some shape, form, or fashion. And so these people, it is dear to my heart because many of them are men who are veterans, who have been out fighting for our country, and they have no place to go. They have a check that they finally received their benefits, but it's not enough to live. And do I totally agree that they have called BWI their home? No, but that is a public location, and there is no way to go. And many of those people have tried to access the benefits or the so-called resources in our community, but they've met that with barriers. For many of our homeless people, for whatever reason, they're homeless and they don't work. For whatever reason, whether it's medical, mental, disability. And so in order to get those benefits or those resources to be able to get housing, you got to have a job to prove that you have a job, funds to keep paying for your housing. So it's just sad, and it's not a BWI problem. This is a problem that we face. And, I always say if I just had $1 million or more or just had open access of money, all of our abandoned buildings in the county and the city would be filled with our homeless people.
And now, what are some misconceptions of the homeless community?
So I think people think that they are just, bums on the street who don't want to work and are lazy, and that is so not true. At BWI Airport, every Thursday night, I am feeding, along with my volunteers, anywhere from 100 to 115 people. Lamar, I have to tell you, 20 to 25 of those people, we are feeding, and they work at BWI.
And I think that's what caught my attention, Shawn. I just want to stop you right there. When you shared this story with me, when you said to me, and the people, once they put the mops down, or once they get off the ticket counter, or once they leave the restaurant, that they literally are staying there, and because they can't afford housing, even though they make a good wage, they can't afford housing. So when you mentioned that, the homeless piece got my attention, but when you said that these individuals live there, and I witnessed this, I saw this when we went to the airport last Thursday, because she's been doing this for 2 years, religiously committed to doing it, and I'm watching people who are mopping the floors, cleaning the floors, and they said, when I get off, I'm going to stop by, or you still gave them some resources right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, you saw the amount of workers who were waiting for us to finish bagging our bags to get one. And so we feed them, and we feed those who come in through the light rail. And again, there are people who work every day but stay in the airport because they cannot afford housing, or, as you saw, many of our workers and people, it might be lunch for them tomorrow. Tonight is going to be interesting. Tonight is a hot meal night. I have a VA association that supports me twice a month with hot meals. Tonight is a hot meal, plus they will get goodie bags, clothes, and all those other things that I offer every Thursday.
Yeah, I just love your spirit and energy. It is so infectious. And I'm hoping that the people that are listening to us want to participate in supporting you, or also just supporting some individuals that might be displaced or homeless in their community. It's interesting. Elizabeth Warren, who just dropped out of the race, she talked about, because again, she's a woman, she's a mother. She talked about how these mothers who don't have enough money to deal with child care. So many of these women don't have enough money to pay for child care. And so they have to decide, do they stay home with their child, or do they allow their child to then stay with another person that may not be safe, that may not be a good place for them to stay. And it's interesting, when my producer was doing the research on the homeless community, which I've done a lot of work visiting centers when I'm traveling, I've noticed that, speaking of women, speaking of what Elizabeth Warren talked about, that several of the people that I ran into at the airport were women. And when I asked one of the guys who was living there, who called that his home, he said, women come here because it's safer than being on the street. They won't get harassed. And then I'm thinking, what's one of the most safest places in the country right now is the airport, because there's so much security. Talk to me about the women that you come across in the airport, and what are they sharing with you about their stories?
So, wow. Right. There's many. A few months ago, I remember walking into the airport, and one of the workers said, Shawn, don't forget the lady behind the UPS box. And I said, okay. So we're walking, and sure enough, there was a young woman. She had a newborn baby and 2 young children. Couldn't have been no more than 2 or 3 years old. The worker said she had been there all week. I am only there once a week. This woman with her infant child and 2 toddlers had been there all week. Now, thank God she wasn't there after that. But yes, women are coming there for shelter. I have a woman right now, her and her daughter have probably been there at least 3 or 4 months. Now, a lot of the people will leave early in the morning and then come back in the evening. This particular family, I do not believe she leaves. She stays all day long. But thank you, Lord, because we also try to say to the people there is an HR department downstairs in the airport. So I'm constantly giving them resource. And this young lady, the daughter, was able to get a job at the airport pushing the wheelchairs. And so I thank God for that, but they're there, and the women probably are more needier than the men because they need sanitary napkins, underwear, undergarments. They're always looking for pants and shoes and socks and things like that. It's sad. I don't have many of them there, but the ones that are there, and this particular one that I'm referring to, her and her daughter, she had some family man issues. I'm going to say that. And so she was running. There's another woman there who was there because of an abusive relationship, and her son have been there for several years as well. So they come. It is a safe haven, and I'm sad that Governor Hogan is going to begin enforcing. There is a law, Lamar, that says that you are not supposed to be in the airport from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Apparently, that law is now, the airport will begin to enforce that law. So over the last 2 months, I have been telling my peeps, as I call them, that I'm still going to be here. I'm going to move my time up. But here's what you need to know to keep them from being arrested. Because what's going to happen is these people are going to be arrested to only, I say, come back because that's all they know.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up the mother and daughter. We're going to take a listen to their story. I had the opportunity to interview them when I was out there with Shawn and the rest of the team, and I want you to take a listen to what they had to say.
My first experience with Shawn, it was unexpected, and she made us feel very, very. She just opened us up. Because we really didn't want to talk. Well, I didn't want to talk to anyone because of the situation of just a transition. But she opened herself up, which made me more comfortable knowing that she was sincere. She just genuinely gives of herself and asks nothing in return. And she makes sure that if you don't have what you need, she gets it. Not weeks later, within that same week.
So tell me, as you look at this mother and daughter, and you are a mother and you now are a grandmother, what are some things that are going through your mind as you serve this particular family? And then what are some things that you share with them outside of a meal and outside of clothing?
Yeah, so it's difficult. It's hard to see, right? Because again, as I started, we all are one paycheck away. And in talking to this woman, she definitely had a life. It was very prosperous. She was very influential in the work that she was doing. And, people tell me all the time, God's going to supply. And I guess she was watching me before I was watching her. And when we got to talk, and she got my number from one of the other peeps there, and she texted me, and in this particular text, she was telling me briefly her story and the help she needed. And so I began to work with, our Anne Arundel County homeless, trying to make connections and calls, because it was very apparent that she did not belong there, but just fell on life happening that totally disrupted her whole entire household. And so we pray together. I'm connecting her to resources. She prophesied some things to me, and I tell you, Lamar, I ain't know the woman for 60 days, and everything she prophesied to me in the spirit was things that I had gone and prayed to God for. So she's not just she's not that she's just a nobody. This is a woman who was influential in her moments of life happening for her and her daughter. And she often says, this is temporary, Miss Shawn. She'll say, I'm waiting for my money to come, and this is temporary. And so when she asks us for shoes and when she asks us for clothes, it is because she needs it. When she asks for shoes because her daughter had the job interview, I made connections. I didn't personally get them to her, but I started calling and saying, do you know? And she got her shoes. And it is, again, I think about me and my own daughter, and yes, I have a granddaughter. I don't know how she does it, but when I say every Thursday, her and her daughter have a spirit of happiness, of hope, and of joy. She knows that she is there temporarily, but this is what she has to go through for whatever reason right now.
Yeah, and she was very approachable when I was there. I just had I didn't have a camera with me. I just had the recorder, and they did allow me to talk with them. Our daughter was very excited about the new job, had her badge around her neck. Mom was very, very proud of her. You know, what do people experiencing homelessness need besides shelter? So there's a shelter that's there, but besides that, what else do they need?
They need care. So many of them do have mental health issues, and that's my concern about this mandate of putting these people out. They say they're going to put them out with resources, but I know, Lamar, I've been doing my research and inquiring, and I sit around a table of all kinds of service providers for the homeless on a monthly basis, and there's lots of barriers for these people. We have got to do a better job locally, nationally, internationally with providing these people, this population, with true, meaningful mental health support. They don't want to be here. I have a man there who he's a veteran. He's one of my veterans. He does not, many of them don't want to have to be there, but life, our community, and our resources don't fully support their needs. Now, I know there's lots of organizations out there that do this work. I got to retire if I can figure out how to do it better, because it's still not meeting the needs of our people. They need clothing, they need shelter. And I guess that's why I'm consistent in what I do, because they need it every day. Every day they need support. So oftentimes there are some that will ask for prayer. I have helped one develop their resume. I have helped one, develop letters. And so whatever I can do, I try to meet their needs specifically, as I call them my peeps. So every Thursday I got a special cart that I have for specific things they have asked and supported on. They just need to know that they're valuable and they're people. Last week when I went, I was telling all of my folks, the census is coming. You need to be counted. We got to figure out what address to count you at. But this is what it means. Many of them didn't know about the census, so I've been talking census to them. And I'm happy to report, too, I'm supposed to have some census folks who are going to join me at the airport when census gets started, so that my people at the airport can be counted as well.
So, Shawn, what type of feeling do you get from doing this? Would you say that this is a hobby? Would you say this is a passion? Would you say that this is a calling? How would you categorize what you're actually doing?
This is God that puts me in motion every Thursday. And I say that because, like I said, the very first time I went, my heart jumped out and stayed in the airport. And then it seems like every week it tugs me back. Come on, come get your heart. And the hearts are those peeps. Those are my peeps. And so through rain, sleet, snow, laryngitis, back pain, coughing and sneezing, I am there every single Thursday. Why? Because they count on it. They are expecting me to be there. And it's what I do. It's not even a second thought. I'm there, and I believe that's where God has me right now. And I pray that He blesses me with some transportation and a building, so I can really do what I know, what I'm envisioning to do to help this population of people. And that is what I've learned is, and sometimes, I tote them in my car because they need to go to appointments. And I know I'm understanding the struggle. They got to go to one side of town to get one resource and go all the way to the other to get the other. Or they're my working folks who can't afford not go to work, but an agency closes at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. So my building is going to be a one-stop shop all. It's going to have service providers that will come to my building. They will set up shop on certain days and stay open to 6, 7 o'clock at night, which will also include a food pantry, a clothes closet, and a temporary shelter care.
So now of course, you have this system in place. You have individuals that show up. I was there, several other people, and I'm sure you have a very, very well-oiled machine right now. What do you wish you had known before you started this process?
The bureaucracy and help.
Isn't it interesting? You're like, I just want to feed people. I just want to do this. I just want to, you think about all these other prophets that are out here to do. You look at folks like Jesus. You look at folks like Muhammad, whoever you believe in. You look at Mother Teresa. You look at people like Malcolm, Dr. King, all of these individuals, and they get caught up in the bureaucracy of I just want to serve. That's it. That's all I want to do. And then you're putting a barrier in the way.
I tell my children all the time, when I die, don't do an obituary. The only thing I want on it is Shawn served. That's what I do. That's who I am. It's not about a title. I don't care about a title. This is what I know I have been purposed to do. And it comes before everything. Even my daughter will say, I don't understand why you can't take a break from feeding them homeless. Because that's what I do. That's where I'm supposed to be, and I want to honor, and I want to be obedient to what I feel in my heart and what I have in my mind about helping other people.
Well, how can our listeners help you? How can they get in contact with you, and what are some things that you actually need?
So, my peeps always ask for socks and undershirts. So I'm constantly getting donations of that. People can reach out to me at foodforthought@gmail.com. I'm also on Food for Thought Community Outreach Services on Facebook, and currently my website, Food for Thought Community Outreach, is under construction. They can reach me there, and I take donations of clothes, gently used clothes. Majority of my audience are men. They're always looking for jeans and hoodies and socks and undershirts, and my women are always looking for undergarments and the same thing, jeans. They don't complain. They just need help. They want to know that there is someone out there caring, and every Thursday there's Food for Thought and all the volunteers.
Wow. So we are so grateful that you are serving, and it's an honor to have you on the show. And again, I'm going to be out there supporting you. We want you all, if you live in the DMV area and you show up there at 11 p.m., I think, let me just tell you, this woman moves so fast. I've never seen her move this fast. First of all, she drove in the parking garage, almost ran me over. I was like, Lamar, you do this, you do that. Just straight, just giving out direction. And I'm like, as a servant, I'm just following direction. I'm just there, being a servant. And it's just funny, but not in a disrespectful way like some people are. They can be very disrespectful when they're giving out orders. But again, I know when it's my time to serve, and I know when it's my time to follow. And it was an honor just being out there with you. Let's talk about Shawn as a young child. What are some things that prepared you to do this work, growing up in the big city, then coming down here to work? Are there some things that prepared you at a very young age? Your parents, your grandparents, people in the neighborhood? What are some things that people that shared with you that got you on this path that you're doing right now?
So I grew up in poverty. I grew up living in the housing authority communities. I grew up going on the cheese line on the day that we had to go pick up. My mama got a stamp. So I knew what it was. I remember growing up that way. However, my mother she received her bachelor's degree. I remember going to college with her because she was a young mother with 4 kids. And I just always remember being grateful. I never asked for anything for Christmas because I watched my mother struggle with 4 kids, even though it didn't seem like we were poor, but we were. And I just think that growing up and watching city life and people, I always wanted to help. In my early years it was, I'm going to be a physical therapist. But when I got to junior high school, I said, I want to counsel people. I want to help people. And so that's where that took me, all the way through college and all of my employment. I have always been in a position where my role was to serve and to help others. And I just believe as a people, especially in the state of our country, that we need to get back to truly being our brother and our sister's keeper, whatever that may mean. Because again, I keep repeating, and I always say, we are one paycheck away from being out on the street, being at somebody's social service line, in need of something because life just happened. Yeah, and then, I became a deacon, and even before I even became a deacon in my church, I just think there was a calling that I was fighting, and as I have, I'll say, not got older, but got wiser, that the calling just really has taken and consumed my heart and my mind, and that's how I go. That's how I function. It's not Shawn. It is the heart and mind that just drags me to help others and to help people.
Well, you are definitely doing it. We are grateful and honored that you're actually doing this work. You are doing some amazing work. And I remember Dr. King making a statement just about us. He says, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You don't need a college degree. You don't need to be a millionaire, but you can just step out and do that. So I know you got to get ready. I know you got to jump off because you have to prepare for tonight. So I want to thank you for joining us. I also would like to thank my engineer, Alec Blanc. I want to thank Supremacy for our theme music and all of you for listening. And as always, believe that something wonderful is about to happen and that some people miss the message because they're too busy looking for the mess. Thanks for tuning in, and do something for someone other than yourself. Today, you've been listening to SoundBalming.